Welcome back to Tight Lining, Maryland. It's been a while, and I don't even know truthfully if this will ever make it to video in terms of like publishing it and editing it. But you know, thanks for tuning back in. If you are still sticking around and watching these, I appreciate it. I really wish I could do more of them, but you know, working full-time guiding what feels like more than part-time and trying to raise two young kids is pretty daunting. So without making excuses, we're out here on the stream. I've got maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'm just gonna run it straight. I've never done that before. I probably won't even edit this, and if I do, it'll be very marginally. I'm not trying to do anything pretty. What we're gonna try to do here is just catch fish. I'm gonna talk you through that. I'm gonna explain the system, you know, hopefully coach you up through some different opportunities that if you were to hit a run similar to this on your stream or anywhere, that you could hopefully pick up some fish. Before I even begin though, I'll ask you a quick question. I'm curious what your thoughts would be about this. As I'm walking down, now mind you, this is a wild stream. There are some stocked fish, and I'm technically in an area where you can keep. I guess my question is in the comments for you, would you keep a wild brown trout in a stream that you know you can put and take, even though it's not the stocked fish that's intended to be the put and take? Would you still cull out and keep the wild fish? I had difficulty saying yes to that because number one, the resource, number two, I don't even like fish, but most importantly, those fish are fighting for years to get to the size that are of legal limit. And the gentleman I bumped into, he asked me what I thought, and I really wasn't sure. Would I ask somebody to not keep that fish? It'd be tough. You'd have to catch them in the act because otherwise the fish is pretty much done. But I'd be curious in the comments, do you keep wild fish at all? What's your reason, your rationale? I'm not trying to cause a fight. I'm not trying to say I'm right, you're wrong. That's not the point. It's simply to raise the conversation of awareness. What are the reasons why people keep fish that are wild? What goes into that? Because I'm just curious. That way I can understand more and maybe approach it differently, or possibly talk to somebody that maybe doesn't know that I could educate. So thanks for leaving a comment, but for now, let's get to fishing. So we're out here using our Syndicate P2 pipeline. We've got our lamps in liquid. This is our tried and true from the beginning of the channel. It's a 10-foot 3-weight. I've got my Euro fly line, and I've gone more of a micro setup. Micro setup eventually, I promise I'm gonna end up doing a video on. I don't know when. I don't know. I really want it to be sooner rather than later, but the point is that micro setup on this Euro leader, now I end up going with such a small leader that my fly line is out of the rod. That is the point that I manage, and the leader is critically important, but it's super short and thin, and I do now sell that on the website. But with a bug crawling up my hand and telling me it's time to fish, and birds flying across, picking off bugs, I think it's time to get these flies wet. So let's get in there and start talking about what the approach is. All right, so let's really walk you through it from start to finish. I don't often do that, but like I said, today is going to be more of a you know, a different style. So I put on a piece of 6X tippet. It's about, I would say, 3.5 feet. I'm going to leave a little bit extra at the end. I am using Umpqua's Deceiver Fluoro X Carbon, or excuse me, Umpqua Deceiver X Fluorocarbon, and I cut off roughly an 18 to 24 inch strip of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double surgeons these together. I'm going to take about a 6-inch strip of the original running line, and then roughly a 2 or 3 inch, and basically just overhand loop them and create my my double surgeons, where I can basically pull through 1, 2, and now we're basically done. Pull it to get tight, wet it, cinch it, and there we go. Now I've got my tags, I've got an extra distance for my dropper. You know, I've extended my not my leader, but my tippet with an extra, you know, 12 to 18 inches, and I've also given myself a tag, and I think that's important. What we're going to do today is the bugs have kind of stopped. I was guiding earlier today. I had a great trip this morning with a guy by the name of Jeff. So Jeff, thank you if you're watching. I know that you've been a supporter of mine. I appreciate that, sir. But we got out today and we had some fun. We caught fish, and you know, it was successful. But the bug life was popping this morning, and as a result, we made some decisions for, you know, what we were fishing and why we were fishing, because the bugs were coming off. Things have stopped a little bit, and that's going to change it up a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fish 2 flies. Both have CDC collars. One is gonna be the infamous blowtorch. Love that fly. We're gonna tie that in. That is a size 16. And I've also got another size 16. I usually go 14, 16 or 16, 18, 12, 14. I usually don't fish the same size. Not that it really matters, but as long as you're getting a little bit extra weight and a different profile, different areas of the water column, it's all good. I just prefer fishing two different size, that is. So I'm putting the blowtorch on the bottom. I typically like that as my point or my anchor. So we're gonna tie that in with a simple clinch knot. Okay, so that one's on there. What I'll say is, and it's a common conversation, learn your knots, learn them. Do them at home. Don't do them till you can't get it right. Or excuse me, don't do it till you get it right. Do it till you can't get it wrong. And that makes a world of difference. I mean, you've seen me now in the last, I haven't been timing myself, but I was able to throw together a double surgeon's knot, and I'm about to finish off this overhand clinch knot. I did that in a matter of what, 2 minutes? And I could have done it quicker if I wasn't, really trying to talk you through it and, basically do it step by step and talk about every little nuance, but not to make excuses. But if you can do that in, I don't know, a minute and a half, you can effectively fish a stream however the heck you want. And what I mean by that is like this water right here, deeper, slower, calls for the cause of 2 flies. I like fishing 2 when it's nice and deep like this. All right, so what I'll do is I'll fish the inside part of this run along the, you can probably see it, it's like silty and sandy. I'm gonna fish that on the inside, nice and slow. Okay, usually fall fish sit in here, but trout do occupy the space with them. And we're just, even though we got a little bit of wind, we're just gonna work this water through here with our double nymphs and try to pick up a fish on the inside. And then what we'll do is we'll work our way out. But the reason why I said learn your knots is simply because as you learn them, you can fish different types of water, whether it is, a single nymph, there's a take, a single nymph through the shallow stuff, maybe on this inside shelf, the deeper stuff in the middle of this stream. But if you don't know your knots, you're not going to take the time to basically put on 2 flies. You're not going to do a double surgeons, and you're not gonna basically be as effective of getting things down. So the more and more you learn them to the point where you can't get it wrong and you feel comfortable, the more adjustments you can make on the stream and hopefully have a little bit more success. Right now I can feel that we're not quite getting down, so we're gonna try to start tucking it to a degree. There's a fish. Fall fish came right up and ate that. Watch him just slow slurp. And I didn't even feel the take, but saw him eat, so I figured we would set. We're gonna get rid of him. These guys often sit in the silt. Well, buddy, you unfortunately hooked yourself a second time. It's the second time today. Second time today I've done that on a fall fish. Just double check our flies, make sure that they're riding right, because this one's upside down currently. There we go. Now we're back in business. So yeah, he slid right off that shelf. And yeah, sadly those fall fish, they really like that silty stuff. But the trout sit in that transition water too. And it's not uncommon you get a mix of the 2. So now we're sinking the sighter a little bit just to get things down. Tick, tick, tick. We gave ourselves like an extra, I don't know, 6 inches, maybe a little bit more. And we're just gonna work this water nice and slow. We may go a little heavier just because we got a little bit of wind going. I don't know if those are trout, but we're gonna find out. Say, the more you fish around, the more you're gonna find out. Something like that. I heard that on the internet somewhere. Those fish are coming up and eating. They're looking up, so we're gonna Try to meet them a little higher and raise that cider. Just see if they want something a little bit higher in the column. There we go. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Really thought by now we'd have picked up a trout. But like I said, I do think we maybe need a little bit more tippet and or a heavier fly. I definitely think that's part of the equation here, because we're just getting blown around here on our system. There we go. That's a nicer fish too. That is a nicer fish. Don't know what we got, but I suspect a nice brownie. Yep, nice brown. Try to keep him off the bottom and run his head into there. But all we did was sink the cider. We gave ourselves an extra foot or two. And that's probably a nice 14, 15-inch fish. Love not to lose this guy. Just keep that side pressure on, slide him up into the slow stuff. Don't want to raise his head. Come on, come on. Come on, big guy. Come on, big guy. No, 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 no. Stand still when they start doing that. And there you go. Now, what a shame it would be if somebody came in here that didn't know any better and they thought this was a stocked fish and came in and took that fish out. I mean, could you imagine a fish like this? He's probably every bit of 15 inches, nice and thick, fat. You know, if this guy got taken out and harvested, that would be a real tragedy. So he's hooked pretty good in the top of that lip. We're gonna take that fly out for you. All right, so what we've got is, this is from Rock Spring nets. It's a wooden net, and it sits there basically like a live well. I'm not doing anything, this thing's floating. And it just keeps those fish in there nice and calm, and it allows them just to kind of, almost like a live well, just kind of hang out. Just a beautiful net and a beautiful fish. Hear him ground a little bit. Oh, there he goes. All right, well, so even if we don't catch anything else the rest of the day, that guy was worth the price of admission, which today really wasn't much, given that the fishing license is all you need. All right, so in a moment we're gonna go heavier because I just feel like my drifts aren't quite slow enough and deep enough, quick enough. I think that things are just kind of getting blown out. And with this wind and the speed of the current and depth, it's time to make a change. I know we caught a fish, and I know we caught a damn good fish too. But unfortunately that does not equate to success. But that comes with experience, and that comes with figuring out what works and what doesn't. So we're going to take this blowtorch off the bottom, plug it onto there for a moment. Let's go with our hare's ear, and then if that doesn't work, we'll go with a perdigon and really try to bomb these things down in there. So we're going to make these fish come to us. We'll make adjustments to meet them on their terms, but in the same light, they're going to have to make some concessions too and help us out. So I noticed that right now, and this is probably something that if you've Euro nymphed or tried anything like I'm doing, you probably have had issues where your line kinks, and that does happen. You know, what advice would I give somebody where their line's kinking? Well, number one, make sure when you tie in your surgeon's knot that it's clean. Triple surgeons, I would say maybe a little bit better. But another option is that you can do a blood knot. And the blood knot definitely comes off nice and perpendicular to your system. But this surgeon's, all I'm going to do is basically just pull on it, get my original knot, just pull on it a little bit, and pull on it a little bit, and we're just going to pull away from it a little bit. And what that typically does is it straightens it out and gets me back to the way it was. So just little adjustments. Take your time. Not in a rush, you're just fishing. That's all you're doing, just fishing. Here we go. A little heavier now. See if we can't pick up a little bit better contact. Yep, that's diving. That's diving. Okay. Might need to check my flies. Might have some rock snot. Felt us ticking a little bit. And unfortunately, in this river lately, ticking means rock snot. So let's just make sure that we don't and we do not. All right, so now we're gonna get to that far side of the bank. Try to fish that. There we go. Little fall fish. That's our third fish, but not the target species. That's going to wrap it up for Tight Lining Maryland. Thank you as always for tuning back in. I really do appreciate it. I hope that we were able to generate just a little bit of conversation about keeping fish, specifically wild fish, and what your thoughts were, and do it in a productive manner. But then also I hope that you got something out of the strategy side, you know, about the nuances that go into the changes you make while you're on the stream, or just the little differences you might make in presentation, like sinking the sighter that ultimately resulted in that nice fish. But in general, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to releasing the next one for you. Thanks as always for your support, and tight lines the next time you hit the stream.